The stars were silent. For weeks, the crew of the small human listening post had lived with only the hum of their machines and the endless dark of space. Most days were boring, filled with routine checks and reports that no one on Earth even bothered to read. But on this night, something different happened. A faint sound broke through the static. At first, it was just a whisper, soft, almost lost inside the sea of noise. But Lieutenant Arya leaned closer to her console. Her eyes narrowed. She tapped the controls, filtering out the interference. The sound grew clearer. It was not random noise. It was a voice. "Help. Please, help us." The words were weak, trembling, and filled with pain. It was a distress signal. Captain Darius entered the control room after hearing the alert. He was a man of calm voice and steady hands, but when he saw the trembling line on the screen and heard the faint cry, even he froze. "Origin?" he asked. Arya checked again. "Outer Rim. A dead sector. No colonies. No trade routes. Nothing there but dust and ruin." The crew gathered, their eyes locked on the message. The voice repeated, softer this time, almost as if fading away. "Help, please." Some of the younger crew members felt their skin crawl. In the silence of the galaxy, no one expected to hear such desperate words. It was like a ghost calling from the void. Chief Engineer Malik leaned back in his chair. "Could be a trap. Pirates sometimes fake distress calls." Navigator Silva shook her head. "No pirate uses a signal this broken. This is real. Someone is dying out there." The room grew tense. They all knew the rules. The Galactic Authority, the ruling power of this part of space, had strict laws about interference. Many signals were ignored if they came from unregistered zones. Humans were newcomers to the wider galaxy. Their voice carried little weight. To break those rules could bring punishment. But the silence after the call made their hearts heavy. Captain Darius finally spoke. His voice was calm, but inside he was torn. "We are not supposed to answer. The Authority will not protect us if this breaks their laws," Arya whispered. "But if we don't answer whoever sent this, they will die." The debate began. Malik argued for caution. "This could bring trouble on all of us. Better to record the signal and forward it to Central Command. Let them decide." But Silva slammed her hand on the console. "By the time Command decides, they'll be gone. Look at the strength of the signal. It's weak. It could vanish any moment." The crew's eyes turned to Darius. He stood silent, staring at the blinking screen. The voice repeated again, faint and breaking. "Please, help. Dying." Something inside him shifted. He remembered the oath he once swore, not to laws or politics, but to life itself. To protect, to serve, to be human even when others turned cold. "Set a course," he said. Gasps filled the room. Malik shook his head. "Captain, if the Authority finds out, then let them." Darius interrupted, his tone sharp now. "We will not stand by while a child cries in the dark." The engines roared to life. The small human vessel, no larger than a transport ship, changed direction and sped into the void, chasing the broken signal. Hours passed. Space was silent again, except for the steady sound of the engines. The crew sat in heavy silence, their thoughts filled with questions. Who had called them? What waited at the end of this signal? When they finally arrived at the coordinates, the sight outside their windows turned their blood cold. A world hung in the darkness. A broken world. Its surface was scarred with burns, its cities shattered into dust. Smoke and fire still lingered in the atmosphere, though it seemed long abandoned. "No life," Malik whispered. "The whole planet is dead." But then the signal beeped again. Arya traced it, her hands shaking. "It's not the planet, it's..." Nearby. They followed the trace to the ruins of an orbiting station. The structure floated half destroyed, pieces breaking apart, drifting into the void. "Scan for survivors," Darius ordered. The computer worked. Silence filled the ship. Then a single tone rang. One life sign. The crew looked at each other in disbelief. Among the ruins of an entire world, a single heartbeat still flickered. They brought the survivor aboard. The medbay doors hissed open, and for the first time the humans saw who had sent the call. It was not human. A small figure lay weak on the stretcher, skin pale and eyes too large for its thin face. It breathed in shallow gasps, each one slower than the last. Its body shook, fragile and close to death, but its eyes opened and looked at them. Eyes filled with fear, pain, and something else. Hope. Arya whispered, almost to herself. "It's just a child." The crew stood frozen. Somewhere deep inside, they all understood in that moment. Their choice had changed everything. The galaxy had ignored the call. But humans had answered, and nothing would ever be the same again. The med bay was silent except for the faint beeping of the monitor. The alien child lay weak, its breath shallow, every rise of its chest looking like it might be the last. The crew surrounded the bed, uncertain, uneasy, and strangely afraid. No one had seen a creature like this before. Its skin was pale blue, almost transparent under the harsh lights. Its eyes were round and dark, reflecting the faces of the humans who now stood over it. Its chest rose with difficulty, each breath a battle. Captain Darius broke the silence. "Report." Arya, scanning the data, shook her head. "Its lungs are failing. The atmosphere it was born for is gone. Whatever destroyed that planet poisoned everything. This child cannot live without help." A heavy silence followed. The child's small hand twitched as if reaching for something unseen. Silva whispered, her voice trembling. "Captain, if we don't help, it will die." Malik crossed his arms. "And if we do help, we may all die. You know the law." Everyone turned to look at him. Malik's face was hard, but his eyes betrayed worry. "The Galactic Authority has rules. No interference with restricted species. No aid to survivors of destroyed worlds. They will call this a crime against the galaxy." Arya snapped back. "So we just watch a child die because the council says so? Is that what you're saying?" Malik did not answer. The crew's arguments filled the room, voices rising with fear and anger. One side spoke of laws, survival, and the threat of punishment. The other spoke of life, compassion, and humanity, and all the while the child struggled for air. Captain Darius raised his hand. The room fell silent. His eyes, sharp and steady, stayed on the small figure lying on the bed. "This ship is human," he said softly, "and humans do not abandon children." The words struck the crew like thunder. Arya's face softened with relief. Silva even let out a small smile. But Malik shook his head, muttering, "You're making a mistake." Before anyone could reply, a sharp sound cut through the air, an incoming transmission. The crew turned toward the screen. The Galactic Authority emblem glowed, and then a voice filled the room. Cold, distant, without emotion. "This is the Galactic Authority Enforcement Division. You have entered restricted territory. You have taken a subject under quarantine. Release it immediately. Failure to comply will be considered treason against the Council." The crew froze. The voice continued. "Return the subject to its origin site. Do not attempt medical assistance. This is a direct order." The screen went dark. For a long moment, no one spoke. The weight of the words hung heavy in the air. Treason, a word that meant exile, prison, or worse. The crew's faces showed their fear. Arya looked down at the child. Its eyes opened weakly, staring at her, pleading without words. She whispered, "Captain, what do we do now?" Darius looked at the crew, then back at the child. His voice was firm, but inside he felt the storm of doubt. "We do what humans have always done. We fight for life, not for laws." With that, he turned to Malik. "Can you build something to keep it alive?" Malik blinked, caught between duty and conscience. His hands clenched into fists. "Maybe, but it won't be easy. Its biology is nothing like ours." "Try," Darius ordered. "Do whatever it takes." Arya bent closer to the child. "We will help you. You are safe now." The child's lips moved weakly, a sound escaping, barely audible. But the crew heard it. "Family." The word was broken, the accent strange, but it carried weight. A simple word that wrapped around their hearts. Arya's throat tightened. She reached for the child's hand and gently held it. At that moment, the choice was made. The crew would not obey the council. They would not surrender the child. They would save it. But in the shadows of the galaxy, the council already knew. Their warning had not been a suggestion, it was a threat. And the humans had ignored it. Out in the void, far from the stars, engines of war were already moving. The humans had taken in a child. And for that choice, the galaxy would make them pay. The medbay became a workshop of desperation. Tools clattered across the table. Wires, tubes, and pieces of human tech were scattered everywhere. None of them meant for the fragile body of an alien child. Yet Engineer Malik worked with fierce focus, his hands moving quickly, sweat dripping from his brow. The child lay still on the bed, each breath shallower than the last. A faint hiss escaped its lips, as if its own lungs were collapsing inside. The monitor beeped weakly, warning of fading life. Arya stood beside the bed watching, whispering softly to keep the child calm. She held its hand even though it was cold and trembling. "Stay with us. Just a little longer, please." Captain Darius paced the room, his face hard. He knew they had broken the law. He knew the council's eyes were already on them. But right now, none of that mattered. Only the child's next breath mattered. Malik finally spoke, his voice tense. "Its lungs are burned. Whatever poison destroyed that world has eaten through its body. If we do nothing, it has minutes left." "Then don't do nothing," Darius snapped. Malik glared at him. "I don't have alien medical supplies, Captain. I have scrap metal, filters, and oxygen tanks built for humans. I'll have to invent something in hours that other species couldn't make in years." "Then invent it," Darius said. His tone was calm, but his eyes carried fire. Malik gritted his teeth. He picked up a breathing mask, ripped out the human filters, and began replacing them with new layers of mesh and tubing. He connected strange coils, reshaped chambers, and rewired pumps until it no longer looked like any device the humans had built before. The crew gathered around, silently watching as Malik built life with his bare hands. Arya whispered, "You're making lungs." Malik didn't look up. "Artificial ones, crude, ugly, but maybe enough to fool its body into believing it can breathe." The sound of sparks filled the room as he welded pieces together. The smell of burnt metal stung their noses. Time ticked away, each second a warning that they were too late. The monitor beeped again, slower this time. Arya's voice cracked. "It's slipping," Malik cursed under his breath. He connected the final tube, sealing the device shut. "Help me get it on." Together, they lifted the mask and gently placed it over the child's face. Tubes wrapped around its chest, leading into a small chamber Malik had built, an artificial lung connected to oxygen tanks. He pressed the switch. For a moment nothing happened, then a hiss. Air was pushed in. The chest rose, then fell. Then rose again. The monitor beeped stronger. The line steadied. The child gasped and lived. The crew let out breaths they hadn't realized they were holding. Relief washed over them, though fear still lingered like a shadow. Arya brushed a tear from her cheek. It worked. Malik slumped against the wall, exhausted, his hands black with soot. "Don't thank me yet. This is temporary. Hours, maybe days. If we can't adapt it further, it will fail." Still, for the first time since they had found the child, there was hope. The child's eyes slowly opened. They looked at Arya first, then Malik, then the captain. Its lips moved beneath the mask, trying to speak. Darius leaned close. "Rest. You are safe now." But even as he said the words, an alert rang through the ship. A sharp, cold alarm that made everyone's stomachs twist. Incoming transmission. The council emblem lit the screen once again. The same cold voice filled the room. "You have ignored our command. The subject is not yours to keep. Return it at once. This is your final warning." The crew exchanged worried glances. Malik muttered, "They're watching us." Darius didn't answer the voice. He simply shut the transmission off. Arya's eyes widened. "Captain, they already know what we've done," Darius said firmly. "But let them come. If the galaxy wants to punish us for saving a child, then let it," Silva whispered from the corner. "They will hunt us. No one defies the council and lives." Darius looked at the child, breathing slowly now with the help of the artificial lungs. Its fragile body trembled, but there was light in its eyes again. "Then we will fight," Darius said quietly. "Not for laws, not for power. For this child." The crew stood silent. Each of them felt the weight of his words. They were not just defying the council, they were challenging the galaxy itself. Malik, still slumped against the wall, finally muttered, "We've crossed a line. There's no turning back." Outside the ship, the stars seemed darker, heavier, as if the universe itself was holding its breath. The humans had saved a life, and by doing so they had lit a fire the galaxy would never forget. The ship floated in the dark, far from trade lanes, far from safety. Inside, the crew tried to rest, but no one could truly sleep. The child's weak breathing echoed in every corner, carried by the hum of Malik's artificial lungs. It was a sound of fragile hope, yet also a reminder they had broken the galaxy's law. Arya sat beside the bed, her hand gently resting on the child's small fingers. She had whispered stories of Earth, about oceans, forests, and skies filled with birds, though she was not sure the child understood. But whenever she spoke, the child's eyes opened and it listened. That was enough. Captain Darius entered quietly. His face was stern, but his eyes softened when he saw the child. "How is it?" Arya sighed. "Alive, stronger than yesterday, but still so weak. Malik's device is working, but it won't last forever." Darius nodded. He looked down at the fragile figure. "We need to know what we're protecting. What is this child to the Council? Why would they let a whole world burn just to erase it?" Before Arya could answer, a soft voice broke the silence. "Because they fear me." Both humans froze. The child was awake. Its eyes glowed faintly under the medbay lights, filled with sorrow far too heavy for someone so young. Arya leaned closer. "You can understand us?" The child nodded weakly. "I learn fast." "Your words." "Simple." Darius crouched by the bed. His voice was gentle but steady. "Tell us, child. Who are you? What happened to your world?" The child's eyes shimmered, tears forming. Its voice cracked as it spoke. "They came. The Council. They said we were dangerous. They said our voices carried power, my people. Could change the thoughts of others. We never wanted war. We only sang to the stars to speak with them. But the Council feared us. They called us a threat, so they destroyed us." Arya's hand trembled as she gripped the child's fingers. They killed your entire people." The child nodded. "I am the last." Silence fell heavy as stone. The weight of the confession pressed on every heart in the room. Darius's jaw clenched. He had fought in wars before, seen the cruelty of empires, but never had he heard of an entire species erased under the banner of law. "They committed genocide," he whispered. The child's lips quivered. "Yes, and now they want me gone. If I live, the truth lives too." The words cut deep. The crew finally understood the Council's cold threats, the harsh orders, the fear behind their commands. This was not just about a law being broken. This was about a secret the galaxy wanted buried forever. Malik entered, overhearing the last words. His face grew pale. "If this is true, then we've taken in more than a child. We've taken in a weapon the Council fears." The child shook its head quickly. "I am not a weapon. I am only a child. My voice is strong, yes, but I do not wish to harm. I just wanted someone to hear me." Arya's eyes filled with tears. She brushed the child's hair gently. "We heard you, and we will not let you be silenced." But Malik's fear was real. He looked at Darius. "Captain, do you realize what this means? We are not just criminals now. We are protectors of a secret that could shake the entire galaxy. If they find us, they will not only destroy the child, they will destroy us, all of us." Darius stood tall, his face unflinching. "Then let them come. Humanity has faced fear before. We are not like the Council. We do not kill children to protect power." The child's eyes widened, shimmering with something new. Hope. "You are different." When I called, no one answered. All the voices of the stars stayed silent. "But you came." Arya smiled softly. "That's what it means to be human." The child hesitated, then whispered, "Then, may I call you my family?" The room went still. The word struck every heart like a blade of light. Malik looked away, trying to hide the emotion in his eyes. Arya squeezed the child's hand. Darius nodded firmly. "Yes," he said. "You are family now, and we protect our own." But outside the ship, the stars shifted. Patrol vessels moved across the void, searching, hunting. The Council would not rest. They had lost one world, but they would not lose their secret. And as the humans embraced the child, the galaxy's greatest crime was no longer hidden. It was alive, breathing through artificial lungs carried by human hands. The truth now had a heartbeat, and the galaxy would regret ever trying to silence it. The ship drifted through the void, engines running low to avoid detection. Inside, the crew worked in silence, each one carrying the same heavy thought. The Council would not forgive them. Every sensor beep, every flicker of light on the radar made their hearts race. They were no longer explorers or rescuers, they were fugitives. Captain Darius stood at the front console, eyes fixed on the black screen of space. "Keep us hidden." No transmissions. No signals. "If they find us, we won't stand a chance." Arya nodded, her fingers dancing across the controls. She dimmed their power signature until the ship seemed like a drifting rock. Still, her heart beat fast. She kept glancing at the medbay door, worried for the child who slept inside. The child was stronger now, breathing through Malik's artificial lungs, but still weak. Every sound of its breathing reminded Arya of the promise they had made, to protect it. no matter the cost. But the galaxy was already moving against them. Far away, the Council's fleet spread out like a net of steel. Warships glided across the stars, their weapons glowing. Their orders clear. Find the humans, recover the child, erase the truth. In one council chamber, a commander spoke coldly. Human compassion is a weakness. They will not give up the subject willingly. Hunt them. Make an example of them. Back on the small human ship, Malik sat in the engineering bay, staring at the blueprints of his crude invention. His hands shook with frustration. I built lungs to save the child, but I may have doomed us all. How long can we keep running before the council corners us? Darius entered, his shadow long across the floor. As long as it takes. Humanity doesn't run forever. Malik looked up, his eyes sharp. You don't understand. We are ants compared to them. One warship could crush us in seconds. Darius's voice was low, steady. Then we'll use something ants know best. We hide. We bite only when they step too close. The engineer gave a bitter laugh, but deep down he felt a spark of respect. Humans had always survived against the odds. Maybe they could again. Hours later, an alarm shrieked. Silva's voice echoed from the cockpit. Contact! Warship on intercept course. The crew rushed to their stations. On the screen, a massive council vessel appeared, its hull glowing with cold power. Compared to it, the human ship looked like a toy. They found us, Silva whispered. Darius gripped the controls. Not yet. Hold steady. The council warship scanned the area. A beam of light swept across space like a searchlight, reaching closer and closer. Arya's hand shook as she cut every remaining system, plunging the ship into near darkness. The humans held their breath. Even the child seemed to sense the danger, stirring weakly in its bed. The beam passed over them. For one terrifying moment it lingered, then it moved on. The warship turned away, vanishing into the stars. The crew exhaled at once, their relief heavy and shaky. But Darius remained tense. That was only the first. More will come. They won't stop until we're caught. Later the child woke. Its dark eyes looked at Arya with quiet fear. They are hunting us. Because of me, Arya stroked its hair gently. Not because of you. Because they are afraid of the truth. You did nothing wrong, the child whispered. You should let me go. If they take me, you will live. Arya's eyes filled with tears. We don't abandon family. Do you hear me? You are ours now. We stand together. From the doorway, Darius listened. He didn't speak, but the words burned into his heart. Humanity had chosen its side. The chase had begun, and the galaxy would soon learn what it meant to hunt humans. They were small, yes. Fragile, yes. But when cornered, humans were dangerous. They had teeth, and this time they were fighting for more than survival. They were fighting for a child, for truth, for the very meaning of what it was to be human. The ship floated in silence, hidden among drifting rocks at the edge of an asteroid belt. The crew had evaded the council once, but everyone knew it was only a matter of time before the hunters returned. Inside the small vessel, tension filled every corridor. The crew ate little, spoke less, and worked with quiet urgency. Even the hum of the artificial lungs in the medbay sounded louder, as if reminding them of the weight they carried. Captain Darius stood in the control room, watching the child's reflection in the glass. The small figure rested in the medbay, still fragile but stronger than before. And in that fragile life lay the truth the galaxy wanted buried. The Council had destroyed a species. The child's existence was proof of their crime. Arya entered, her face pale from lack of sleep. She placed a small device on the table, a transmitter. Captain, she whispered, we can't keep running forever. We need to tell the galaxy what the Council has done. Darius turned sharply. If we transmit, they'll find us instantly. Maybe, Arya said, her voice trembling but firm. But hiding will not save the child forever. The Council will keep hunting until we are gone. If we want to protect it, we must make the truth too big for them to silence. Malik entered then, his hands still dirty from the engine bay. He frowned at the device. Broadcasting is suicide. But, his voice softened. She's right. The Council is strong because they control information. If we break that, if others know, they might rise. Darius was silent for a long moment. His crew looked at him, waiting, their eyes filled with both fear and hope. Finally, the captain spoke. Prepare the message. Hours later, the ship's small comms room glowed with the light of the recorder. The crew stood together, the child sitting weakly in Arya's arms. Darius began. His voice was deep and steady. This is Captain Darius of the human vessel Resolute. We answer a call the galaxy ignored. We found a survivor, an innocent child of a world destroyed not by war or nature, but by order of the Galactic Council. The crew exchanged nervous looks, but no one stopped him. Darius continued, pointing at the child. This child lives because humanity refused to turn away. And now we tell the truth. The Council has committed genocide. They called it law. We call it murder. The child raised its head, its dark eyes shining. In a weak but steady voice it spoke. My people sang to the stars. We harmed no one, but they silenced us. I am the last, and if I die, their crime will be forgotten. Arya held the child closer. Tears burned in her eyes as she whispered, Not forgotten, not anymore. Malik pressed the final button. The message was sent, shooting into the void, bouncing across hidden relays and pirate networks, scattered through trade signals and old satellites. The truth was out. For a moment there was silence. Then the alarm screamed, They found us! Silva shouted from the cockpit. Multiple warships closing fast. The crew rushed to their stations. The Council's fleet had tracked the signal. On the screen, massive ships appeared, their weapons glowing like angry stars. A voice cut through the static, cold, merciless. You dare speak against the Council? You dare spread lies? Your species will pay for this defiance. Darius glared at the screen. We are not spreading lies. We are spreading truth, and truth cannot be silenced. The warships advanced. The small human vessel shook as enemy scanners locked onto it. Malik shouted from engineering. Captain, we can't outrun them this time. They're too many. Darius's voice was steel. Then we don't run. We stand, the crew froze. To stand against the Council was madness, but something in his voice lit a fire in their hearts. Humans had always been the weaker species, the newcomers to the galaxy. But they were also the stubborn ones, the ones who fought when all odds said they should surrender. Silva's hands tightened on the controls. If we're going down, we'll make them bleed first. Arya kissed the child's forehead and whispered, Hold on. Whatever happens, you are not alone. Outside, the first warship fired. A beam of light cut across space, striking near the asteroid field. Rocks exploded, scattering like sparks. The Resolute moved, weaving between debris. Weapons fired, engines roared, alarms blared. The humans fought not for victory, but for defiance, for a stand that would be remembered. And across the galaxy, their message spread. Merchants, rebels, and forgotten colonies watched the broadcast. Whispers turned into anger. Anger turned into fire. The Council had tried to silence one world. But now, because of the humans, countless voices rose. The crew of the Resolute knew they might not live to see tomorrow. But as their small ship darted between giants, one truth burned brighter than fear. Humanity had made it stand. The Resolute shook under fire, its hull groaning as Council warships circled like predators. Each blast lit up the dark, and every explosion rattled the humans inside. Yet the small ship did not break. It darted between asteroids, turning debris into shields, fighting with every scrap of human cleverness. Inside, the crew moved like one body. Malik rerouted power to engines, sparks flying around him. Silva twisted the ship through impossible paths, dodging beams meant to tear them apart. Arya stayed in the medbay, holding the child close, whispering hope through the storm. And Captain Darius stood tall, giving orders with a voice that did not shake. They were outnumbered, outgunned, but not broken. Far across the galaxy, their broadcast spread like wildfire. On trade stations, screens flickered to life, showing the pale, trembling child speaking of genocide. In mining colonies, workers stopped their drills to listen. On forgotten worlds, rebels replayed the words again and again. The truth had escaped the Council's grip, and with the truth came anger. Old wounds reopened. Species who had lived under the Council's iron law began to whisper, if they silenced one people, how many others? The Council tried to jam the message, to call it lies, but it was too late. The spark had already caught fire. Back in the asteroid belt, the Resolute was nearing its limit. Hull breaches opened, alarms screamed, systems failed one by one. Malik shouted, Shields at 5%! One more hit and we're done. Darius's face was calm, but his eyes burned. Then we make that last hit count. Target their engines. Silva's hands trembled. Captain, if we strike, they'll destroy us in return. Maybe, Darius said. But let the galaxy see that humans don't kneel. Let them remember. The crew obeyed. The small ship turned sharply, diving straight toward the largest warship. Weapons locked, lights flashing red. Fire! Darius roared. The Resolute's cannons unleashed their last energy. The blast struck the enemy's engines, ripping metal apart. The massive warship shuddered, flames erupting across its hull. For a moment, silence fell in the Council fleet. A single human ship had crippled one of their giants. But victory came with a cost. The enemy returned fire. A blazing beam struck the Resolute. The ship screamed, metal tearing, lights dying. The crew was thrown against walls. Arya shielded the child with her body, whispering, "Hold on. Please hold on." Smoke filled the air. Sparks rained. The Resolute was dying. Yet outside, the image of the battle spread. Countless eyes across the galaxy watched as the fragile human vessel stood against the might of the Council. They saw bravery where the Council had promised obedience. They saw defiance where the Council demanded silence, and something changed. On distant worlds, rebel ships launched. On hidden moons, old fighters powered up engines long left cold. Across the galaxy, voices cried out, "If the humans stand, so can we." The Council had wanted silence. Instead, they had awakened a storm. Inside the broken Resolute, the crew clung to hope. Malik coughed through smoke. "Engines failing." "We can't move," Silva whispered. "It's over." But Darius shook his head. His voice was weak, but his spirit unbroken. "No, it's only beginning. Look." On the screen, new signals appeared. Not Council warships, but independent vessels. Pirates, traders, rebels, dozens of ships. Small and mismatched, answering the humans' call. They swarmed into the asteroid field, firing at the Council fleet. Explosions lit the void as the hunters became the hunted. Arya held the child tighter as its eyes opened. "You see?" she whispered. "You are not alone anymore. The galaxy has heard you." The child's lips trembled into a small, fragile smile. "Family, not just you, many." Darius's eyes softened. "Yes, many." The battle raged, but the tide had turned. The Council still had power, but their fear was no longer hidden. Humanity had cracked their perfect mask, and cracks spread fast. As the Resolute drifted, broken but alive, a message echoed through every corner of space. The galaxy had ignored a call for help. Humanity had answered it, and now, because of that choice, the galaxy would never be the same. A Council member watching from a distant chamber whispered in fury, "We should never have let them answer. The humans, they will be our undoing." But it was too late. For the first time, the galaxy regretted underestimating the human heart.